I knew we would end up like this. I sat in my seat overlooking the bridge as I sipped a cup of tea. Trapped in a system we didn't know, surrounded by thousands of derelict craft and starship debris from a gargantuan ancient battle, or barely escaping from pirates. So, what's the damage? I asked. Port side nacelle was blown off, starboard engine was destroyed, main engine's broken, we have maybe 20% thrusters total. Enough to move around slowly, but yeah, we're dead in the void at the moment. I heard over the radio from the crew outside. I sighed and finished my tea. I took a look over the data slates for damage reports. Breach in starboard engineering. Railgun slug went straight through, miraculously missing our reactor by mere inches. Multiple breaches. Thankfully the pirates weren't so much for surprise attacks, and we lost no crew. Freezer burn from void exposure and a few broken bones, but nothing that they won't walk away from. We can be thankful for that at least. The ship I had for 2 decades was in ruins. Tatters, shambles, whatever descriptive facsimile you could think up. It was done. We could repair it, with plenty of resources to do so, but after we got to dry dock in a safe area, it would be immediately scrapped. It would fail inspection, its license pulled, then it would be scrapped. Livelihood gone. Start scanning the debris field for usable components. Let's start repairs and get out of here. We'll say our goodbyes and submit our job applications when we're out of the woods, I said with a somber sigh. Yes, sir, the others in the room replied in a somber tone. A few hours passed and our local human, just a service technician who fixed light panels and replaced filters, arrived on the bridge in full spacesuit, holding a toolbox. Hey, boss, he said excitedly. Oh, hello, Thomas. Kitted up for the repairs already, I said. Nope, grabbing my scout bike and going for a quick joyride. I saw something in the debris field and wanted to check it out. Just came to get the okay, he said with a smile behind his bulletproof faceplate. I looked at the scanning technicians, who looked back and tapped their timepieces. Looks like it will be a few hours before we can do anything, so go ahead. Please be safe, it looks like we're on a thin line here. Yes, sir, he said with a salute, and hurried his way toward the partially damaged cargo bay. Let's hope he finds something valuable at least. Anyway, how's the scan going? I asked. Half the sensory array is disabled. I'm having to do short scans across the grid system. Good news is, there is a derelict engine pod that's compatible with our systems. That should help. Also a number of curiosities, she said, waving her tentacular appendages as she spoke. Curiosities? I asked, and approached to see the scans. Yes, majority, maybe 90% of derelicts are hundreds of years ancient, and all appear to be of human manufacture. We may have found one of the ancient Terran's old mothball yards, she said with excitement, as she ran through some scans. Well, that's fun, I guess. Is that a dreadnought? I said, pointing at a rather large lump of scanned metal on the other side of the star system. Looks like 5 of them, actually. If you ever come back here, we can sell the coordinates of this place to the Triumvirate for a fortune, she said with a happy giggle. True enough. Means nothing if we can't find our actual coordinates. They call them blind emergency jumps for a reason. Let's figure that out later. What's Thomas up to? I asked. Looks like he's heading to one of the larger derelict ships, what the humans called a battle carrier. Battle cruiser with large interior space for smaller craft, she replied. Ingenious humans. First ones to ever field ships whose entire armament consisted of fighter and bomber craft. No wonder the Rafani lost the First Contact War, I said with a chuckle, and returned to my seat to try to find a solution. A few hours passed, and I got the notice our engines were back online. Thomas was nowhere to be found, so I decided we would very gingerly coast up to him using momentum. Easier said than done considering the debris field, but eventually we came into the visual distance of the craft he was on. I could clearly see his transponder signal coming from the massive warship. Hey, boss! Came the loud, excited yell from the radio. Oh, hello, Thomas. Glad you finally spoke to us, I said scoldingly. Don't whine, I've been busy. You see the large U-shaped ship near me? He said. Yes, I do. What you even up to? I asked. Don't worry about it. While salvaging some spare parts, I found something better. But that ship next to me is something called a fleet tender. It's a mobile dry dock, and as far as I can tell, it's still intact. You can use that to finish repairs. I'm almost done, he yelled back, then went silent again. Any idea what that ship is he's working on? It looks buggered, I said. Archives don't have much, all except a name and class identification plus basics. It's called the Absolution Incarnate and... whoa, scary designation. Star Destroyer class ship. The type is an... impeller carrier. It says here, scaled down replica of Thrawn's Revenge Impeller class carrier, refitted for rim exploration. Huh, I have no idea what that means, she said with a shrug. Well, it is a most intimidating machine, and title, but it looked like the thing was far beyond its useful service life. It was an odd rhombus triangular design, a large elevated bridge in the hull, a section in the middle in front cut out to give the ship a W shape, or something. It was an odd design, but judging by the hundreds of heavy cannons mounted on its hull, I'd say it probably lived up to its reputation. This one, however, looked very, very broken. Several large chunks of ship now hung lazily out in space. The left one of the frontal prongs of the pointy front end was drifting away from the hull. Part of the upper section had been torn away and was just missing. 2 of its 6 massive engines were beyond salvaging, and part of its rear end had been blown off. Right in front near the command deck appeared to be a very large hole straight through it. Gods, if only the humans bothered to reclaim their empire, these ships would be patrolling the galaxy. Look at the size of the guns on that thing, I said, with a mixture of sorrow and awe. While I was mulling over the ship's design, we carefully maneuvered ourselves into the fleet tender. The ship was 10 times the size of our little freighter. We gently slid into what was clearly a kind of dry dock. Nothing happened, of course. This thing looked very much gone, but my engineers squealed with excitement. Apparently the tender was indeed derelict, reactors and power gone, but the tools array this thing had was more than they could hope for. The engineers got quickly to work, hammering out dents, welding scaffolds and fixing parts. The derelict ship by itself had a massive host of spare parts and stuff we could strip out, including nearly 10,000 miles of cabling alone. The engineers were beside themselves, and before long we had at least half of our systems back online, and all of the exterior damage sealed and repaired. Then, just as we were finishing up, I heard a loud, excited yell coming from the radio. "Oh, hell yeah, jackpot, baby!" Thomas was excited. Very. So much so he nearly broke our oral receptors. "Oh God, Thomas, please don't yell like that. Our hearing is much better than yours. What's going on?" I yelled back at him. "Found a thing. A really good thing. Just need to get it out of the hangar bay and I'll be right with you. This damn control panel's busted. Be there in a few." Thomas excitedly squealed, and once again cut his radio link. Silly creature. Now, what's the status? I asked. "Enemy incoming! Pirate hyperspace signature detected! They found us!" my ensign yelled at me. Alarms blared and I hit the emergency God help us button on my console. "Everybody inside," I commanded, and braced for war. "Evasive action." "We only have 40% thruster control. If we push the engines, they'll explode," the technician yelled. "I don't care. Evade! Evade! Just get us as much distance from that thing as possible," I commanded, and shuddered in my seat as what was left of our engines sputtered to life. "Here, Piggy, you have cargo that belongs to us," the pirate captain barked for the radio. Disgusting Vartarian filth. "Thrusters at maximum. Heading to that derelict for cover," the pilot yelled, as we maneuvered through the debris field. "They're firing. Weapons lock detected," the gunnery sergeant said. "Brace for impact," I barked. We were nearly jolted out of our seats by a plasma bolt hitting us on the rear starboard end, blowing what remained of our engine clear of its housing. We were in it now, and there was little opportunity to escape. I closed my eyes and said a prayer as the target lock signature got louder. "Hey, shit-ass!" A very, very smug-sounding human voice suddenly spoke. What in the... Evasive action... Then, silence. Dead silence. I opened my eyes and saw I was still sitting in my captain's chair. The ship wasn't moving, but we weren't dead. Is this heaven? I hope not, because it sucks, one of my technicians said. I don't know. Status update. Scan now, I commanded. Everyone burst into a rush of activity, but we didn't need to. I nearly defecated so hard I would have had to deep clean my own soul, as the cannon array of a battlecruiser-class warship suddenly appeared in front of us. Then that fear vanished. "Hiya, boss!" came Thomas's voice on the radio, with an all-too-pleased-with-himself tone. "I told you I found something," he said again. Then a burst of his ship's engines pulled away. I had no idea what I was looking at, but never saw a design like it. It seemed hastily cobbled together in some way, yet it looked solid as any ship can be. Patchwork of rusty parts and armor plating here and there, with a rough skin that looked unpainted, but it looked factory-ready. It was saturated in heavy weaponry, battleship-killing, planet-bombarding, fleet-obliterating weaponry. I had no idea what the flaming hell I was looking at, but I had no time to actually do anything about it. Thomas had full control over this enormous 800-meter-long beast, and was as casual as can be, angling it so that its side-mounted hangar was opening up, ready to swallow our small frigate. We slid inside effortlessly, and a shudder told us we were locked in. The hangar door closed, and I could see jets of air being pumped into the hangar bay we were now trapped in. I quickly hurried out of my seat and out into the large ship. The hangar was massive, easily fitting our 85-meter-long frigate inside it, with plenty of room to spare. I was amazed. Thomas approached us, the smuggest smile that ever smugged, sauntering casually into the room as he met me on the hangar floor. "Nice, innit?" "What in the fuck is this thing? And how do you have control over it?" I yelled. "This? It's a kitbash. Like it?" He smiled at me as if I knew what was going on. I breathed deeply, trying to regain my composure. "Okay, let's start again. What is a kitbash? And why are you flying in it? Is that a class of ship or something?" I asked. Technically, a kitbash is the process of combining multiple parts and components to a singular object to complete it. Let's say you have a flat-pack self-assembly dining set, right? Like the ones we had in the mess hall? Well, sometimes those kits have spare parts or components that are there in case of breakage or failure, or by accident. Take those spare parts and bash them together with some imagination, then poof, you now have yourself a coffee table you didn't pay for. This ship? Same thing, he said. "It genuinely distresses me sometimes that humans had so many resources they could afford this kind of activity. Just how much of the galaxy did you strip mine for these projects?" I bellowed. "Not much, to be honest. After the neutron forge was built, we didn't really have much care for resource management." "Okay, so what exactly are you calling this thing then? What are its components?" I asked. "Well, If I recall correctly, the ship's main hull is based on a scale version of the Star Wars Imperial Venator class Star Destroyer. The nacelles and engine pods are built from a Halo UNSC Paris class, scaled up to fit. The rear is the engine bay of a Battlestar Galactica Valkyrie class. The front Mac cannon array is from a Halo UNSC Infinity. And the bridge design is a custom job, similar to the Imperial Victory 1 class cruiser from Star Wars. This is nothing though. I've seen builds bigger and so much better looking. She's just a hack job to get work done, but she works, he said, a holoscreen displaying all the ships he mentioned. "Okay then, that's terrifying. Oh, by the gods. Okay then, so what's her name?" I asked, clearly done at this point. "Well, I don't know. I'm not the captain," he said, tossing a set of key cards and ID badges at me. "That's your job, boss. I just fixed the air conditioning," he said with a jovial laugh, and went back inside our former home. My ensign came up behind me and looked at the keys, then at the hangar around him. Captain? Did our repairman just hand you the keys to a military-grade warship that would rival most national flagships? Yes. Yes, he did, I replied. Did the guy we hired to clean the gunk out of the ventilation system just hand you the greatest pirate-hunting warship in the galaxy on a silver platter? He asked. Yes. Yes, he did, I said, my brain hurting. Fully armed, fully fueled, and capable of destroying a Vartarian destroyer with one shot, and he just gave it to you, then went back to cleaning out the gunk in the vents? He asked. I could feel the strain in his voice. I sat on the floor and cradled my aching head. Yes, he did. My head hurts. I understand why the humans disappeared. With the shit they could do, they would have obliterated half the galaxy. I'm kinda thinking that's a good thing, he said as he sat next to me, likewise cradling his head. Yes it is. I took a deep, frustrated breath. Okay, let's go. We have cargo to deliver, and with any luck, we can repair the old ship. I'm not leaving her behind, I said, standing up. Okay, but, what's the name of the new ship? The big one? He asked. Let's call her Kitana. Kitana Kitbash. On the nose and direct, but I've never been good at names anyway. Let's just go for that. Let's explore this thing and find out what we can do with it, I said. Just then, my navigations officer appeared and scrambled down the ramp. Captain? Captain! She yelled. I rushed over to me. Yeah? What is it? I asked. She shoved a datapad into my hands and gasped out. We found Sol! The human homeworld! The coordinates were in this ship's databanks! I took one look at the data. Indeed it was. Sol. 1 star, 9 planets. Hiding on the edge of the galaxy in dark space after humanity decided to teleport its home system away. And we now had the coordinates. It was at this point my brain overloaded, and the worst headache I ever had suddenly hit me like a sledgehammer. Ah, my head.